Athol ASMR.
Greetings to all Council members. Before I open the communication to each of you to speak freely on matters in hand, I must remind you that we are on an open channel. Therefore, please ensure you communicate in ancient Distructan. Do not worry, Soldier 956 can understand it fluently, so it will sound perfectly normal to them. I have asked Soldier 956 to take the minutes for this meeting, and whatever is discussed will be held in the strictest of confidence. We shall be the only ones who know what is said here on this channel. I realise that this is an emotional time. Some of you are in support of our conflict with Dracunane, whilst others are against it. I am fully aware that you will have concerns, and rightly so. In this regard, I have taken liberty to invite Her Imperial Majesty to this meeting to raise any concerns of her own over this situation, and I am certain that you will each have questions that will be answered in due course. As you are in no doubt aware, the Empire has already taken a foothold across the border of Dracunane space. A move I will add was led by the Admiral of the 16th Fleet, Admiral Alexis von Hardrada, without, I might add, any authority to do so. I hope you will join me in condemning his actions, and I trust he will be dealt with for disobeying orders of observation. Further to which, I look to those of you with connections to the diplomatic division. I call on you to look at ways we can broker peace in a clean and efficient manner with the leaders of the Dracunane Empire, although I fear we will have to force their hand in order to achieve it. I look to the Admiralty to ensure it does not reach that point, but we must be ready. With your permission, Empress, I would like to investigate the necessity for reactivating Project Nova. I don't know much about it, but I'm certain that Sir Charles Fitzwilliam will be able to enlighten us when the time comes. Further to this, we have made a truce with the Shimra, the reptilian people of the Shimra Confederacy. They are currently undergoing a cold war with Dracunane, and we have agreed as part of the truce to protect their transport vessels from Dracunane mercenaries, in return of which we are to be supplied with linthium as fuel for our ships. As for the Omninch, they do not pose a threat. We know how much they fear both us and the Dracunane, though some of the more braver operatives may attempt to breach Destructan space. We know the vast majority of them will steer clear of us for the time being. Finally, we must also discuss the following matter of great urgency. Lady Elizabeth Fitzwarren has brought to my attention the potential treason of Professor Tiber Helios. I have an agent gathering evidence currently, and it pains me to state that it is pointing strongly towards him as the prime suspect. We at first believed the breach to be in Section 12, of which General Trevanion is head of. She indeed pointed Lady Elizabeth to this situation, who immediately raised it with me. I authorised the investigation with immediate effect, and sincerely hope to the powers that the evidence is incorrect and that he is to be found innocent of all charge. I trust you will show your support for this endeavour, and hope as I do it is a positive outcome. Now I invite the Empress to speak upon the matters in hand. after which the floor will be open to each of the council members to voice their concern.
Thank you, Daedalus. My friends, I am appalled to hear of this conflict that has arisen between us and our former allies. Let it be known that I do not condone their actions towards us and their insult to besmirch the good name of the Imperial House of Decleri. However, nor do I condone the actions of Lord Van Liechtenstein, whom in his quick temper has declared this war upon us. I have made it clear that this situation rests in his shoulders, and I therefore task him, as he has said, to reach an amicable peace agreement with our current foe. He assures me that he will do his utmost to broker said peace, and I have every confidence in him to do so. With the help of Lady Devlin, that is, of course. I rely upon you, Margaret, to keep Daedalus in check during this difficult time. He lets his heart rule his head. Too many times have I seen it. To my Grand Admirals, I look to you both to ensure our borders are kept safe. The First and Second Foundation fleets are the pinnacle of our Star Navy. I wish for you both to oversee the protection of any ships fleeing from the conflict zone. It is important that we help all refugees. Remember, there will be innocent victims in this event, on both sides. I will not have their blood bring shame to Distructa. However, we shall move on to that which concerns me most. As you are aware, there is talk of a traitor within the Empire. I am informed that our suspect is our chief scientist. Professor Tiber Helios has been one of my most loyal subjects in his service to the Empire. Lady Fitzwarren has briefed me on the situation, and she is most concerned that the charges against him bear the hallmarks of a false flag, that he is perchance being framed for espionage. For now, we have an agent posted within the facility. They come highly recommended by Section 12, and they are bringing forth new information as they find it. I have little doubt that we will find him innocent of all charges. I hope that you will keep me posted on your investigations, Elizabeth, and I will wish to see all evidence once it has been collated. I trust you will ensure its safe delivery so that I can make my decision. I am confident with your cooperation across the various institutes and divisions that we can bring the real traitor to justice and allow a clean record for the professor. I am certain that you are all in agreement with this. I shall hand back to you, Daedalus, for the time being.
Thank you, Empress. The chair recognises Lady Elizabeth Fitzwarren.
Thank you, Daedalus. Indeed, it has been several weeks since the presence of a traitor has been noted within the Empire. At first, I suspected someone in Section 12. However, after various investigations with the cooperation of General Trevanian, we have discovered this is not to be the case. Pushing further, we have discovered that the leak of information is coming from our scientific division. Sadly, it is my duty to advise that it does point to Professor Helios. The evidence against him is strong. Although Daedalus has questioned as to whether the evidence is accurate, he has noted that several documents said to have been signed by the professor bear a signature that appears different to his natural one. It is clear to me that this signature is forgery, and that we may be dealing with an extra party here. Someone who may be pulling the strings, creating a situation of distrust amongst senior members of the internal committees. It is clear to me that whoever is behind the breach, they have a deeper knowledge of our security than the professor could ever have. The patterns of security breaches that we have noted appear to show someone of a lower rank accessing the facilities. Empress, with your permission, I would like to be able to start investigating other divisions and ranks. I believe we may have a network of rogue agents working against us. It is the belief of several of the Grand Council that the Omniche may be involved. Personally, I don't wish to discount that theory, as we know how much they fear our empire. They have lost too many good men and women to their conflicts with Distructa over the decades. We must ensure we know for certain what we are facing, until we have the confirmation of whoever is involved. I fear the good professor must remain under suspicion. I, however, believe that justice will prevail, and his good name shall be cleared. Now, regarding our war with Draconian, as First Lady of the Order's Hospitaller, I am calling upon every medical facility to make themselves available to receive injured troops, pilots, and other military service providers. I am requesting medical units to be sent to the front line to aid in recovery operations and civilian extractions. I must implore you, we need to broker peace. It is the only way we can restore the natural balance. The universe is in turmoil. You yourself have sensed it, and we have discussed it several times in our most recent meetings. Peace with Draconian means peace in the universe. It is the way forward. I hand back to you.
Thank you, Lady Fitzwarren. The chair now recognises Sir Henry Warbar.
Thank you. I speak to you on behalf of the corporation. I will get straight to the point. Business is booming. We are doing very well. War is good for us. Seriously, however, this war could cripple us as an economy. The factories are unable to keep up with production. Unless we need more units to be able to create more units. It's a never-ending cycle. However, I have been meeting with the other leaders of the begging clans, and we have reached an agreement. We may be able to ease the stress upon the system by reopening at least 2 of the former production worlds. Bring them back online and we should be good to go. I am very much aware that if the Italians strike at the border, we could lose the worlds we tried so hard to keep safe. Worlds that act as major custom posts along the border of their respective empires. They are as high as risk worlds where the passage of goods and trade is the keystone of their existence. I have genuine concern for this conflict. Our new foe has up till now has been one of our greatest training assets, and now we have basically cut it off at the source. I vote we broke for peace. I honestly believe it was a mistake to declare war on one of our largest financial alliances. As for the other situation, I don't really see how it affects the baking clans, nor the corporation. As you are aware, we have our own scientific research division which develops every unit our factories produce. As you know, myself and the other members of the board have always considered the Institute of Science to be simply a playground for clever, polished boys. Either way, we will be observing any and all transitions made by the professor. If we find anything out of sequence with his accounts, we will pass the evidence to Lady Fitzwarren, who I am certain will inform you immediately. Mind you, we have one thing that springs to mind. The Institute of Aviation appears to have several thousand credits missing from their account. I doubt it will come to much. However, I do recall that Professor Helios has shown an interest in participating in that edition. It may be a pure coincidence. It appears to me that this may not be exactly what it's for. However, I agree to grant full access to the relevant accounts so that your agent can review them and gather evidence it can find. For the moment, I hand back over to you, Daedalus. Thank you.
Many thanks for your input, Sir Henry. The chair now recognises Grand Admiral Lord Ignatius Tolkar.
Thank you, Daedalus, your Imperial Majesty, and my honored friends. I stand before you as a decorated officer and as a gentleman. I will not deny the fact I am about to put before you. I relish the opportunity of this war, and I welcome its coming. As you are all aware, I have always suspected the Draconian of acting in an underhanded manner towards our empire, and I have now been proven correct. This slur against our beloved Empress must not be allowed to stand. It must be cleansed and recanted, by force if necessary. I'm not an unreasonable man, and I'm open to negotiation with the Draconian, and of course, the notion of peace. However, I do believe that our foe has crossed the line, and must be made to see the error of their ways. I'm more than willing to bring my fleet to show them the true gravitas of their actions. I won't bore you with speeches or long-winded anecdotes. I'm as tired of all this hullabaloo as the rest of you. We need a definitive strategy that can bring an end to this conflict quickly and surely. This is why I agree with Daedalus for the revival of Project Nova. This is the only way, in my opinion, that we can ensure the Draconian Empire surrenders. It will bring great victory, probably the greatest that Destructa Prime has ever known. As for our wonderful friend, Professor Helios, I genuinely believe him to be a traitor. I've never liked the man, and I find him to be of a disgusting personality. He uses with a false charisma that leaves my bones cold. I for one say we are much better rid of the man. Sir Henry said it himself, he brings nothing to the scientific division. His last creation, a infinite fuel source, turned out to be a complete and utter disaster. To be honest, I didn't even understand the informational film he sent in. It made absolutely no sense to me. And that alone, though, is not the reason for my suspicion of the man. It is evident, however, that every prototype he submitted to the military for testing has failed in a most spectacular manner, with multiple deaths occurring because of the resulting explosions of each individual instance. I believe that he's undermining our military strength with his highly dangerous designs and an act of deliberate sabotage. If they were dangerous to the enemy alone, that I could accept. That is, in fact, the point of a war machine. Yet when it's dangerous to its own crew, that's when questions must be asked. In conclusion for this moment, I state it would be far safer to arrest him now and be done with the matter. I fear you may have become blinded by his genius to begin with Daedalus. He's had you exactly where he wants you, in his pocket. I've had my piece, and I hand it back to you, sir.
Well, thank you for that rhetoric, Grand Admiral. I am certain we shall take note of your somewhat unexpected opinion of both situations. The chair recognises Lady Devlin.
Thank you, Daedalus. Greetings to you all. As you are aware, I am the founding member of the Distructan People's Initiative, the organization created to look after the welfare of our citizens living in the lower levels of our city. However, the war with Draconian has shown myself and my fellow trustees that there are many more affected by poverty and unemployment. Therefore, we have decided to expand our operation to outside of the home world. It is our intention to bring light to those who need it most. With the permission of Daedalus, we will be starting on worlds affected by the war. Lady Fitzwarren and I have been working closely to build up a plan of action to bring health and well-being to those who have lost their homes and their livelihoods. We hold firmly the belief that every citizen has the right to clean water, free healthcare, and equal rights across the Empire. And I know Daedalus and the Empress agree with me in this regard. I know note that each of you are at this moment pressing the agreement button on your remotes. My heart is warmed by the knowledge that you each hold the welfare and equality of our citizens in such high regard, no matter their walk of life or their ancestral background. Hence why I am truly proud to refer to myself as a Distructan. It is the cornerstone of which the Empire is founded. Lady Fitzwarren and I have organized the first wave of relief facilities to head out to the front line after this meeting is adjourned. Once we get the go-ahead, of course. I hope we will have the cooperation of the fleets for escort duties. The Destructan People's Initiative does not believe in the arming of our vessels. Under the circumstances, however, we make exceptions for escort vessels in this time of need. As regards to the situation regarding Professor Helios, I hold little opinion on the matter. Though I understand he is a most respected scientist, and I do believe him to be a most loyal servant to your Imperial Majesty, I am confident with the right people on the investigation the truth will be revealed, and in time we will learn the scale of whatever is happening within the Empire. I hope you are all in agreement with my proposal, and with which we can bring hope to the people of the Empire who need it most. I hand back over to you, Daedalus, for the moment.
Thank you, Lady Margaret Devlin. I am certain the Admiralty will be more than happy to assist you. First, we shall hear from General Trevanion, and then I believe Sir Charles Fitzwilliam would like to speak. General, you have the floor.
My thanks. Apart from the obvious situation that Section 12 is investigating, which I will gloss over in a moment, I wish to start by speaking of our effort in the war. For our division, I must admit, I am considerably lucky. If we lose operatives, we can easily replace them. However, I digress from the matter in hand, so I will get to my point. As you are aware, I am also head of the Sentinel program, an initiative in which we use synthetic humanoids to spy on our enemies. This works well with the policy of Section 12, and we have therefore, under the circumstances, decided to combine the two on a permanent basis. It will be via this method that we will be able to collect our most important data, for example, the number of ships in a fleet, their exact route of travel, the strength of said fleet, the information that is most important to us. Through this, we now have at least 25 field agents working undercover as Draconian soldiers, and officers automatically transmitting data to us via a multiple live stream. It is planned that we are to send more into the field to collect data. It is vital we know our foes' every movement. We need to know the exact basis, where, what, why, when, and how. It is these fundamental pinpoints that will allow us key victories in the coming battles, and I know there will be battles we must win. I am also ensuring that the Sentinel program is supplying the military with at least one full regiment of combat drones. These will be controlled via central hub computer aboard the flagship of Dark Fleet. My apologies, Daedalus. I meant to say the First Foundation Fleet. I know you're not keen on the use of nicknames. As to our friend, the Professor, our top field agent XK-42, is currently working undercover inside the Institute of Science as a member of the research team assigned to Tiber Helios. I will remind you that they are the only unit not controlled by a central computer, having broken their program to gain full independence. I am in the understanding that they have managed to become friends with several of their colleagues who have raised their own anxieties, although they have been rather vague as to what they may be at the moment. We are hoping that something comes to light to explain exactly what that concern actually is, but we suspect it may be that if he is a traitor, he may be attempting to recruit our scientists to his cause. Regardless, Agent XK-42 is transmitting daily reports to both myself, Lady Fitzwarren, and Daedalus. The three of us have been liaising to reach a potentially positive outcome. Though I fear, if the evidence builds up as quickly as it is, we may be heading for a difficult situation. So therefore, I hand the floor over to Sir Charles Fitzwilliam.
Sir Charles, you have the floor. At last. I have been waiting for this moment. You know that I am a traditional soldier. I was taught by my father in the old school method of warfare. Might is right, loyalty is honor, honor is truth. Therefore, I confirm that I am a proud Distructan citizen because of these disciplines. That is why I wish to speak of Project Nova. Why it must be revived. It is the ultimate ending, the answer to all our problems. If need be, we can wipe the Tracunane out of the universe completely. Never again will we need to fear their so-called military prowess. Example: a planet, a ship, one group of Nova grenades. For those of you who are not aware of what a Nova grenade is, I will explain. It is not an explosive to start with. It is in fact a satellite. A single ship can launch enough of these devices to cover an entire planet or star. Once they are in place, they form an energy grid. That force field rapidly accelerates global warming to an excessive speed, thus rendering the planet uninhabitable. Anything living on the surface will be incinerated within minutes. It is our ultimate weapon, and even just its single usage would lead to instant victory. Also, as I mentioned, it can also be used around a star, hence the name of the weapon. We can cause an instant supernova which can decimate an entire planetary system. I have only ever seen it once, but it was banned many years ago. I have, without much explanation, managed to convince Daedalus, of course, that we need to revive this project. Let's face it, has anyone else got a better idea to bring this war to an end? You can have all the negotiations you want, but the true way to end a war, especially with Tracunane, is to show them you are the more powerful soldier. We have the upper hand, and I, for one, think we should use it. As for the Professor, I do not see why it should concern me. I have my focus, you have your focus. Let us leave it at that. I respect you all for trying, but at the end of the day, the Empire survives simply by its strength. Carry on with your investigation. If he is a traitor, deal with him as you would with anyone who betrays our trust. That is all I have to say on the matter. Although there is one thing I should ask, Empress. Why do you have Daedalus in control of the Grand Council? We need someone willing to take immediate action, not pussyfoot around the situation. We need strong leadership. I question your decision on his selection, Empress. Thank you, Sir Charles. I would like to point out that I am still very much present in the room. Also, I am beginning to have second thoughts regarding Project Nova, now that you have described it. Now, who have we left to speak? Grand Admiral Tuller, you may go first. Then we will hear from Lady Victoria Tannis, and we shall finish up with Magellan Van Oberon. At the end, we will have time for a final word from each of you to voice your final opinions. For now, the chair recognises Grand Admiral Tuller.
Thank you, Daedalus. My Imperial Majesty. Members of the Grand Council, as you know, the Empire is vast and holds power eternal. But that does not excuse us from not extending grace and benevolence towards our enemies. The first rule I learned at the Academy is that the role of the Distructian Star Navy is to protect and defend the Empire, not to completely obliterate our enemies. And while I recognize Field Marshal Fitzwilliam's position on the matter, I am horrified and I object to a suggestion regarding the use of a superweapon. There is no place within our society to extend such force when knowing the consequences would prove disastrous for the Empire as a whole. But now, on to more immediate matters. I do not agree with this war, and believe it is a waste of our time and resources. Considering this, I have spoken with Grand Admiral Tolkar, and regardless of his earlier opinion on the subject, we are in complete agreement that the skirmish is merely a distraction to the actual issue at hand. We are fighting nothing more than children with a Tarkunian, and I say we broker for peace and concentrate on the real threat to the Empire, the Kaltarni. While we continue to concentrate on this border, we are failing our people on the eastern edge. The Kaltarnian sectoids have been marauding through the eastern rim of the Empire for 2 years. My intel informs me that the bugs have a large biofleet waiting to descend upon Ondar and several surrounding worlds. Our current defenses are not strong enough to hold them off, and if they break through our last line of defense, they might overrun the Empire within a year. 2 years maximum. With your permission, I would like to withdraw the 2nd Fleet from the front line and join the 11th and 20th Fleets on the evacuation effort on Ondar. I have enough ships that can give us an advantage by taking hold of Ondar, bolstering the support for the remaining fleets in the system, and enough firepower that we might stop them dead in their tracks. Other than that, for my opinion regarding the spy situation, I believe that Professor Helios is innocent. Yes, his prototypes may not function. However, I know he works hard to better our naval prowess. I have yet to see any evidence of sabotage either, and I believe that he has the best intentions for the Empire. Nevertheless, bring me the evidence against him and I will believe it. Until then, I remain a supporter to his cause in hand.
Thank you, Grand Admiral Tuller. I will consider your request to join the 11th and 20th Fleets accordingly, and get back to you with my decision in due course. The chair recognises Lady Victoria Tannis.
Thank you, Daedalus. You're most kind. Empress, fellow council members, as you know, I have been the Chief of Staff for only a short period of time. I have yet to personally encounter wrongdoing of any kind such as been discussed here today. As some of you will be unaware, my duties in this capacity also include keeping records of senior members of the Institute, for example, Professor Helios. I keep a close record on all their data usage, their accessing of facilities, and a close tab on all their locations at any given time. This allows us to identify how popular different areas of the Institute are at any given time. It also allows us to assist in any given investigation. I have yet to be invited to provide information to the investigation into Professor Helios. Having access to his personal records, I can provide exact details to all his daily activities and whereabouts. This is, with permission of those concerned, of course not confidential, so therefore can be freely shared without need of a warrant. I invite the investigation team to view all the details they so wish to see, for I believe it will prove definite evidence that the professor is indeed innocent of all charges. How I know this for certain, I cannot yet say, as I have not seen any of the gathered evidence. But the records clearly show, for example, how many times he has accessed the network and to whom he has communicated with. That is all I will say for the time being on that matter. As regards to the war, I have little to say, except that I am instigating a program of educational material with the help of the Distructan People's Initiative to ensure that all staff within the imperial capital are fully aware of their duties and obligations, both in loyalty and security. This shall extend to wartime settings. We need to remind them that careless talk costs lives. It is clear to me in these cases education is better than punishment. If this is successful, I will make full recommendation to roll this program out to the Empire as a whole. Hopefully, this war will not pan out long enough for us to do so, although it may be beneficial in the long run to make it a public program regardless of the current climate. Thank you, Daedalus. I hand back over to you.
Thank you for your input, Lady Victoria. We shall discuss this program at a later interval. We have one more speaker, after which I will go around one more time to ask for any developed opinions on the matters discussed. The chair recognises Magellan Van Oberon.
Thank you, Daedalus. I have been waiting patiently for my moment. Ladies and gentlemen of the Council, you know that I am a reasonable man. I am honourable, in fact, loyal and true. However, it appears to me that a line has been crossed in this very meeting. I speak, of course, to you, Sir Charles Fitzwilliam. Should anyone dare to question the Empress, that person shall rule their very words. Nobody questions the Empress. You, sir, have crossed the line. I may not always agree with the decisions that Daedalus must make, but make them he does. He does so because it is his duty. I can therefore assure you they are not easy options either. The declaration of war was made because of a slight made by the leader of the Tracunane people. He insulted our beloved Empress. They threw down the gauntlet, Daedalus picked it up. End of the matter. As for our war efforts in general, I hold little interest in what I consider to be nothing more than a petty political struggle between two superpowers. That which does concern me, however, is the current investigation regarding a long-time friend, Professor Tiber Helios. I have known Tiber for many years. We grew up together on the colony world of Tura. Never once have I had cause to doubt his loyalty. It is inconceivable that he would even consider betraying the Empire. He comes from a noble house, after all. His father served honourably in the army under General Khan, eventually receiving the rank of Brigadier General. Loyalty and honour were instilled into all of us when we were growing up. I think that it's something that is very much lacking in the younger generations of today. That isn't to say they themselves are disloyal. I merely state that we have moved on with our ways of teaching it. That is a commitment for the Institute to consider. What we are discussing is an entirely different matter. Treason is not to be taken lightly. The accusations made towards the Professor are grave indeed, and I certainly hope they are false. I have said my piece for now. Let it rest at that moment. Daedalus, you have the floor.
Thank you, Magellan, for those stirring words. I'm certain that Field Marshal Fitzwilliam has taken them on board. I have nothing much to add myself, but I shall hand over back to each of you to give a final thought, and as to whether any decisions have been made. As before, I would like to start with you, Empress.
Thank you, Daedalus. I would like to take this moment to express my dismay at the suggestion of Sir Charles Fitzwilliam. I will not authorize the use of such destructive force on our enemies, no matter who they may be. Now that I have been told of the nature of Project Nova and these Nova grenades it involves, I shall deny its revival. I will not have the blood of innocent people on the hands of Distructa. This war shall end with diplomacy, with a treaty. It shall end in peace. I shall ensure that we demolish all super weapons we may have secreted away. Daedalus, I look to you to oversee the project. I feel I can trust you on this matter. Apart from that, there is little else to be discussed. Regarding the professor, bring me the evidence, and I shall make a formal judgment when the time is right.
I understand your instructions, and I will make certain that you are informed of every weapon we demolish. I too have grown uncomfortable with the prospect of having such power in our hands. Lady Elizabeth, your thoughts?
Thank you again. I agree with Her Imperial Majesty. We are allowing conflict to reign over our decision-making. The use of a superweapon that would cause an unimaginable number of casualties. Our network of medical facilities is stretched thin as it is. I dare not to consider what it might unleash if the Draconian were to take their revenge. The effect of such an attack could even devastate whole sectors of neighbouring star systems. We must broker peace, no matter how long it takes. I am prepared to work closely with all agencies to achieve this outcome. As for Helios, I will ensure, Empress, that you have all the evidence presented to you in due course. You will have full access to every collected item.
Lady Margaret, have you anything to add?
Apart from the relief effort, I am starting plans for a project to revitalize worlds previously deemed uninhabitable. I'm looking into the prospect of being able to terraform worlds into somewhere we can colonize, grow produce, and provide natural settings for the youth of the Empire to experience life as it was centuries ago. Distructa as an empire has become far too industrialized, and I personally feel we must restore the balance. It also means that when times of conflict do arise, such as now, we have a plentiful supply chain located internally. It is noted that many of our consumable products are transported from the Draconian Empire in what is clearly our now broken trade agreement.
General Trevannion, have you anything further to say?
I have nothing more to add regarding what I have already said. However, I must advise that it will take time to install the central hub for the assigned Sentinel Regiment to the flagship. We must ensure it is fully active before we allow the units on board to serve in their program duties. I would also like to be present when the tests are carried out, as I know the protocols set in place and can counter them should anything go wrong. Also, I must register equally my dismay at the consideration at using super weapons to end this war. The Sentinel program was set up to create a feasible deterrent. Imagine how debilitating it can be for an enemy to face an army that simply keeps getting back up or replaces its losses without a single thought or moment. If this one regiment proves successful in their capacity, I recommend we roll out the system to the remainder of the Empire.
Thank you, General. I agree that the Sentinel program is indeed a truly magnificent concept, and I look forward to seeing it in action. Let us hope it is the successful deterrent you perceive it to be. Sir Henry.
Further to my earlier statements, I wonder if the Field Marshal has taken into consideration just how much the use of Nova grenades could cripple our economy. I have had the record sent through to me while recently this meeting has been underway, and the cost alone in reparations will be devastating as the device in use. From what I've seen, it could lead to civil unrest, potentially civil war, and most of all, revolution. On a financial scale alone, I cannot allow use of such a weapon. It is far too dangerous in the long term. Also, I will need to see all financial records of the investigation into Professor. As you know, all project applications are budgeted, and we must have up-to-date copies of receipts and other documentation it has acquired.
Ah, Sir Henry, ever the astute businessman I see. Do not concern yourself. I am certain you will receive the items you have requested. Grand Admiral Tolkar.
I would like it known that I support the request of the Grand Admiral Tulla. She is correct in her assumption of the Kaltarni, and I agree that a much stronger fleet needs to be present along the eastern fringes of the Empire. I have every confidence of her that she will oversee the evacuation of Ondar with the honor and professionalism that she has always projected. That being said, I would go myself with the First Fleet, but we know the Tracunian admire my prowess of battle, and I would hate to disappoint them. They expect a fight, and I have every intention of giving them exactly what they came for. That being said, when the time comes and peace is restored, I will not hesitate to transfer the First Fleet to Ondar and aid in the effort against the bugs.
No doubt you will put on a good performance for them, Ignatius. I think in that regards you would best return to the fold. Grand Admiral Tulla.
I am not surprised by Grand Admiral Tolkar's reaction. After all, we know who really has the better fleet. Though I will not deny his skills as a fleet commander, no one likes bugs, that I can confirm. But it does seem to me that the Grand Admiral is perhaps concentrating a little too much on preening himself for a somewhat captive audience. However, I agree that the First Fleet remain on the border with the Tracunian, and with the permission of the Council, I will take the Second Fleet to aid the evacuation as declared. The Second Fleet being much larger, we have the capacity and the facilities available to support the evacuees at this time, until we can settle them into a new home world. I would very much like to discuss further with Lady Devlin the prospect of terraforming a new world.
Magellan, do you have anything to add?
At this moment, no. My main concerns are ensuring the information rolls in on a regular basis and that I keep the internal staff updated on any developments outside the Imperial Palace. I am, however, curious to know about this terraforming initiative. Perchance I could join the discussion. I think it would be highly beneficial to know more about how it will improve morale across the Empire in general. Further to which, I fully support the evacuation effort on Ondar. It is one of our primary production worlds, and to lose its forges would be devastating to the Empire. I am not a military man, but I would deem it advisable to have Grand Admiral Tulla carry out her intentions. The war with Tracunian is perhaps merely symbolic anyway. I very much doubt they have any intentions of taking any of our worlds after all.
I only hope you are correct in your assumption, Magellan. I honestly hope it freezes into a cold war, and that the thaw to follow will be amicable at best. Rest assured, I will do everything in my power to ensure it plans out that way. Now, Sir Charles, I notice that you have been steaming since you last spoke. You have something you wish to say?
As a matter of fact, yes, I do. Fools. Fools, the lot of you. You're playing right into the hands of the Tracunane. They have you exactly where they want you. Very soon you'll all be in their pocket, paying for their protection. I see it coming. You speak of consequences and reparations. I see only clear and absolute victory. If you won't take matters into your own hands, I will. You may dismantle the superweapons, but I will devise my own method of ending this conflict. Rest assured, I will bring Distructa the victory it deserves. The Tracunane Empire will cower in our wake. They will learn to fear us. I am the most decorated soldier in the Empire, and by the powers, I shall remain so by bringing an end to this conflict. I've grown tired of this. Sir Charles Fitzwilliam, signing out.
That did not go well. I only hope he doesn't do anything he may later soon regret. Then with that, I shall sign off. Thank you for attending this extraordinary meeting. It has been most enlightening for me, as I'm sure it has been for you. Distructa rises.